What's up, everybody? Welcome in. We're back talking Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm your host, Jacob. This is my co-host, Mr. Nick Carnes. We are presented by our friends over at Homage Apparel. Check out the link down below. They are the best in the business. Can I get a go Cavs?
I agree. Go Cavs. The home of the best home record in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers, by the way.
And we are currently in talks with a friend of ours for my first appearance at a Cavaliers game since 2018. I've only ever been to one.
Wow.
It was a playoff game in 2018, and they did lose that game. So there you go. What is it?
It's only up from here.
You truly, it is only up from here. Guys, we're going to talk a lot. We were doing these shows more frequently just with our schedules and everything. I think every other Tuesday, Nick and I will try to sit down and when other members of the network can join as well and that sort of thing, they will do so. And, we'll enjoy that sort of, festivities talking about the Cavaliers. So we're just a head programming note moving forward. But yeah, they got all kinds of great Cavaliers stuff. I'm waiting for my shirt and I will debut it when I get it, but they do have an Austin Carr collection that I must talk up. And I do have the Throw the Hammer Down shirt on its way. But there's also a Get That Weak Stuff Out of Here shirt. And I really, and there's one with Austin on it, with AC on it. But I'm going to tell you, man, I had a really tough time between the two. But I think Throw the Hammer Down is the most appropriate.
I love it. And also I have it at home. I have the NBA Jam Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell shirts, which I am very excited to show. We've got Joe Thomas currently, and I love you, Joe.
We got the
Victory Monday. But we got to get some Cavs gear, and I think,
especially as the Brown season ends.
Yeah, a programming note. I do want to say I think Jacob and I will have an easier time doing more Cavs content as the Brown season ends, right? And basketball truly ramps up to be the center focus. But for right now, we're going to give you these types of episodes, and we've got a lot to react to because the Cavs just beat the Utah Jazz, and that's Donovan Mitchell's former team. Lauri Markkanen was back. Colin Sexton didn't play, but and Jordan Clarkson was also there, and so there's a lot of former Cavs there. J.R. Smith was in the building.
Yes.
This was a regular season game. Donovan Mitchell said he was going to treat it like any other game, but I think we would be lying if we said didn't have more significance than that.
I mean, he came out shooting and attacking like it was a playoff game. Like,
oh yeah.
That opening quarter from Mitchell was like contradicted the statement that he made about it just being a different game. And a lot of people said, I saw on Twitter that people that had spoken to him and were leading up to this were like, he's going to drop 50. Like, they're like, he's going to come out there and he's going to drop 50. And he didn't, but there was a reason behind that. And we'll talk about this Jazz game, then kind of look forward to the overall season coming up. Of course, when this pod comes out, it is Wednesday morning, so they are playing the Bucks tonight. I'm very much looking forward to that game myself. I'm sure you are as well, Nick. One thing about this Jazz game that I absolutely loved when it comes to that word that some NBA fans hate, load management. Donovan Mitchell played 23 minutes last night. He played 23. That's it. That's all he played. He played 23 minutes with 23 points. He gets his fourth foul. I want to say it was like 4 minutes left in the third quarter. He gets his fourth foul. So he sits down. The Cavs bench, led by 20 points in the fourth quarter from one Jetty Osman, absolutely runs away with it. He doesn't get back into the game. Donovan, Darius played 30, and so did Allen and Okoro. Mobley played 31 because they were still in the game when Mitchell got his fourth foul, and they did play in the fourth and stuff like that. But like, you could tell JB when he gets into the fourth and they start just scoring. I mean, 22 from Osman, 13 from Karis LeVert. When you get 12 points, by the way, from freaking Isaac Okoro, and oh my goodness, was he playing probably one of his best games. All of that just came together in this perfect storm of a game where you protected the current best home record in the NBA, with a 23-point win over a really good Jazz team. I think they're a good team. And your superstar played 23 minutes. I don't know that you could have a more perfect script for a game like that towards the beginning of the regular season.
It's amazing what happens when the Cavs are firing on all cylinders.
That's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, when you're getting threes from Isaac Okoro, when Karis LeVert was trapped in the corner, the far corner, and it looked like it was. I don't even know how he got.
He was like practically on his back. He was like,
just swish three. Jetty Osman comes in and is like 5 for 5. Like just when they're Jarrett Allen. Just went around. I'm not sure who the defender, and just dunked on him like old school. There is so much to like from this Cavs team, but it just, I think this is a very different team than the LeBron era. I think just top to bottom, you've got guys that you don't know who's going to go off, but the Karis LeVert experience is one of my favorite things about this team, and I think, and something that since the last time we recorded that I want to note, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, Jacob. I understand that, but Evan Mobley's taking threes and making them. There's like, and you're seeing there's some possessions where Evan takes the ball up and creates his own offense. Like there's such growth there. There's such growth from all these guys, and so I know I just word vomited everywhere, but. Any reaction you have to that, I'd love.
So I look at this. So I've got the numbers pulled up, the individual numbers from last night, and I look at it and I go, okay, Evan Mobley goes for 12 and 8, which you're like, okay, cool. Like, as like the fourth option. Okoro's 12. He had 4 assists. I thought he was passing the ball really well, and I thought he moved really well without the basketball last night. He's been smothering the last 3 or 4 games defensively. It feels like he manages to find a way to block a shot in one of what looks like an uncomfortable play, but because of his level of athleticism, he's able to make these plays pretty consistently. And you're just kind of like, what are you doing there, Isaac? Like, how in the world are you doing the things that you are doing all the time? And it's whatever, it's like, if he now has multiple games in a row with double digit points. If Isaac Okoro goes for 10 to 15 points a night, and I'm sure he'll go back to the bench probably when Dean Wade comes back, but I actually kind of like this starting lineup because I really like Karis LeVert coming off the bench and being like that role player, especially when both Garland and Mitchell are off the floor. And I think Karis LeVert ends up having 1 assist, but he does this like reach around the world bounce past Evan Mobley for a dunk.
Yeah. And
you're just like, well, that dude's coming off the bench. And, he ends up 13 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, Love with 10 rebounds, 20 for 2 from Jetty. And it's just like, I still think they need a sharpshooter off the bench. I do. They need like a Kyle Korver, like the last, they need a Kyle Korver or a aforementioned J.R. Smith. Yep. They need one of those guys on the bench in my mind, because right now they're just wildly, as a team, inconsistent from deep, in my opinion. And so because of that, I think that is a change that needs to be made. And I trust what Kobe's doing. So like, I do think, he's got this team, right? Like a lot of people are like, man, if they could have just got Garland without Lowry, without trading him. And I'm like, yeah, I respect that because Markkanen's having a really good year.
Yep.
But I'm looking at this team. Let's look at some team stats. Remember that Donovan Mitchell plays 23 minutes, doesn't play a fourth quarter.
Okay.
The team shot 61%.
Wow.
57% from 3, 80% on free throws. They out-rebounded the Jazz 44-35, although they were out-rebounded offensively 15-4. 24 assists, 5 blocks, 5 steals. They turned the ball over 20 times and won by 23 points.
Jacob, one of the most interesting stats you mentioned there is the 3-point percentage, because you were talking about their inconsistency. There's no better example than the fact that they shoot over 50% against the Jazz, but 2 nights previous against Dallas, they shoot 17%.
Like 17%,
and win. I mean, what they just ground out that victory. But
19. They shot 19%.
19. Sorry, I was close. But to swing by over 30% game to game, I mean, that doesn't happen all the time. But you get the point. They definitely have nights where you just, you know what, I think Ken Carmen always used to say that you could tell how the team was feeling by the way J.R. Smith carried himself on the court. And you know what? I feel not to the same degree, but when Karis LeVert is feeling himself, like when you can tell he's playing confidently, I'm like, the Cavs are going to have a good night tonight. They start, and they all played confidently. I mean, you saw Jetty come off the bench and just shoot threes like when he's shooting like that, it's there's some stat about Jetty's performance, and when he's over X points, the Cavs have like this crazy good record. I think it just speaks to they don't need Donovan Mitchell to, despite the fact that they chant MVP at Donovan, they don't need him to give that every night to win and win convincingly, which is quite a statement about what this team is.
He goes 8 for 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. Jetty did, and you're like 20 points, 20 of his 22 points in the fourth quarter. And it's just, we talked about this several weeks ago when we were talking about the Cavs potentially being one of the deepest rosters in the NBA. And some nights it doesn't look like that. And the craziest thing is that Ricky Rubio hasn't played. Dean Wade has been out for a while now. Two significant players, if they were healthy, they would both be getting, quality minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Raul Neto, I think, has been really, really good for them when they needed him. He played like the entire fourth quarter because of Mitchell being out and with the foul trouble and stuff like that when they took DG off the court. I think about, if you get Dean Wade back, I really do, as much as some people may hate on me for saying this, I think one of the biggest keys, Karis LeVert being able to score double digits off the bench is enormous. They need that because they have got to get more consistent scoring from the bench. I think more consistent, just because, I get it, DG, and you got 3 all-stars in my mind, and Garland and Mitchell and Allen. And I think Mobley is borderline. I just don't think on this team, I think Mobley's role is a little bit too small to be an all-star, because I just don't think he'll put up quote unquote all-star numbers. I think he's an all-star. I think he can be an all-star caliber talent and player, but how, the voting and stuff can go for that sort of thing. And I just don't know that his numbers will ever match up with that. They will some nights, but just not consistently. But if Karis LeVert can be that Karis LeVert we've had for probably about a week now, about the last 5 games or so, he's been doing this. But I think the ultimate key with what is on the roster now, I think it's Isaac Okoro. Because if he continues to play defense like this and score 10 points, that's it. Give me 10. Give me 10 points and get the defense, because you're starting to see it. They were leaving him wide open.
Yeah.
And they still are sometimes, but they're like, well, I don't know, because he's doing a little bit. And, and especially over the last couple of games, and last night he shot relatively. He goes 4 for 8 from the field last week. He's still shooting 22% from 3 this year. So he's got to get that up just a little bit. But now he's up to 41% from the floor. He's averaging 4.4 points. If he can get that up to 10 points, shoot 45%, you're starting to cook with gas, man.
I think, it's funny, as Cavs fans, we're so blessed to have significant playoff runs to look back to.
Yeah.
And you say that especially in playoff series, right? When teams really game plan for you, they know who they're leaving open if they have that option. Yeah. And previously, in the previous runs, it was Amon Shumpert. They would dare him to shoot threes, and if Amon was hitting them, Cavs are winning, and the Cavs are winning big.
Yeah, they knew, oh, this is not our night.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think Okoro is a lot like that, where,
Mm.
Shumpert was a great defender. Okoro's been, I saw my friend, our friend, Mac Perry, tweeted that Okoro's had a defensive rating of like 92. The scale's 100, I believe. And
Yeah,
so
I think so. Yeah.
he's been very good defensively. So if he's giving you that, and I think Okoro's largely a confidence player, and you're seeing the impact that him playing confidently can have.
Yeah, and I have fun with this team. I mean, I had so much fun with them. Monday night. Obviously, we're recording this on Tuesday. If you're seeing it, it's at least Wednesday. And I just have fun watching this team. They're 21-11. There's only three teams. What, 3 teams with 20 wins, or did somebody else might have gotten there?
That sounds right. I'm not positive.
I know when they beat Dallas on Sunday, they were one of 3 teams, and they were all in the East. Interestingly enough, having Milwaukee and Boston, although Boston over the weekend lost back-to-back games to the Orlando Magic, which was a thing that I didn't see coming. I wonder how Manny's doing. I'm coming for you, Manny. But let's wrap as we start to wrap this thing up and we look forward coming up. What do you think? To keep this run up, what's it got to be? Do they need to continue? I mean, they're one of the best. I think they're top 3 in defensive rating and sort of that sort of thing. Do they need to continue to put a lot of emphasis on defense, or do they focus on, where do you think, what is exactly to keep this record at home and to continue to progress? How do they get better? Is it some of the defense? Is some of the offense? I think they got to work on stop turning the damn ball over so many times.
That's a great point. The Cavs really have some silly turnovers.
And sometimes they compile them. They'll make like 2 or 3 in a row, and then all of a sudden they'll go from like being up 10 or being down 5 to down 11 to being up by 3, and you can see it quickly. And I think that happens too often in critical moments.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And I think that's a sign of a younger team, which, I mean, I think I have 2 answers to this question. My number one answer is the Cavs have, so Lamar Stevens is hurt right now. Dean Wade's hurt right now. But when those 2 are healthy, they have all these questions of lineups and how do you use it, because Lamar Stevens was the starter before he went down, and now Isaac Okoro starting, and before then Dean Wade was the starter. So I think the number one thing the Cavs need to do at this point is solidify the lineup that you're rolling with. But what is these are the 5 guys we're going out and we're trying to make a playoff push as starters role, and how, and Jacob, you talked about the bench a lot. You need to find the right combination of guys to come off the bench, and Ricky Rubio is obviously going to significantly shake that up and significantly shake up what the bench squad looks like as well, and just all the lineups. So number one, they need to solidify and figure out what their best lineups are. Number 2, Darius Garland quietly was going through a little bit of a slump. I think Donovan Mitchell masked that. I think he is, and number 1, stop hitting him in the face. He just got hit in the face again last night. Number 2, I just think if Darius can be the running mate with Donovan like that, because one thing I do have concerns about is obviously Donovan's dealing with like little nagging injuries. You don't want to log super heavy minutes. And so thankfully, he got to play a light night against Utah. You got to keep finding a way to not overuse your superstar. I think that is one of the biggest keys to getting to the playoffs and being successful in them when you get there.
Yeah, I think so. I think I agree with you 100%. I think that's a good place to end for this week. We'll see you guys in a couple more weeks. Sometimes I'm really bad at ending these shows like Andy does with the dog chud. But yeah, I think it was a great note. I think, figure out your lineup. Stop turning the ball over.
That's a great point, Jacob, because
they can compete with anybody.
Sometimes I just want to say, sometimes they just throw the ball and you're like, what was the plan there? Because there is just no. But
too much dribbling.
It's nice to have these problems honestly.
Yes.
So this has been an episode, not sure which one, but an episode of I Agree, Go Cavs. So I agree. Go Cavs.
Yep. Me too. Well, I don't know.